Jay Weinberg, good to have you here at noise11.com. And
Great to
good
be
to see
here.
the toolkit there in the background.
Oh yeah, yep, right there. Here
Are
we
you
are.
packing that up, bringing it to Australia?
I won't be packing that one up, but one quite similar to it. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have quite the collection?
I do at this point. Yeah, I think like out of sheer necessity. I've never been too much of like a pack rat, really, of like collecting stuff. I kind of find a thing that I like and I like to just use it until the wheels fall off. But just out of like sheer necessity of like needing to get places or have gear stored places and stuff, I've amassed kind of a crazy collection of stuff. I'm often kind of the mindset of like your possessions start to possess you in a way. So I like to kind of keep a pretty utilitarian, I don't like to store much. Um, but I have the necessities and then some, I think, at this point.
Does a new band mean a new drum kit?
In certain respects, yeah. I mean, like I have what I like to play, I think I've spent 20 years to this point kind of finding what I consider is like my sound, and I think that's largely the effort of any musician is finding, the things that feel you feel connected to, they're your tools and extensions of yourself. But that said, yeah, different projects necessitate different things, so it's all about kind of, figuring out what's appropriate. I think that's like both the tools that I'm using and the ways I'm approaching using those tools to then make the music that I'll be making. So I kind of have to assess that each time I sit down to, you know, work on something is like what necessarily does this require from me? So for what I'll be up to now with Suicidal and Infectious, it'll be fairly trimmed down from what people might expect of me. There's no wild kind of two bass drums and a whole guitar center's worth of cymbals up on stage with me. But that's just because it's what the music, necessitates. I think that might also, now that I'm thinking about it, that might kind of stem to my like, my non-pack rat way of living is like I just like to keep it kind of the essentials and not much other than that. So I'm piecing it together as we go, as we go in rehearsals. I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to add, this bell or whistle, literally, so we'll see. But it'll be fairly similar to the thing I got behind me.
Yeah. I like how you said you've been searching for that sound for 20 years. So the 13-year-old Jay Weinberg was on a mission as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a fan of singular musicians who have spent their lives finding that sound that is uniquely theirs. I think we should all be so lucky to find a unique voice in whatever it is we do through, repetition and dedicating yourself to a craft. I think, anybody from any walk of life can relate to just trying to, be their authentic self on in whatever practice they choose. So for me, finding what I loved in music in my early teens, that's what I resonated with the most. It wasn't the drummer who sounds like a computer. It wasn't anything like that, or the auto-tuned voice or something like that. It was always like who comes across in an authentic way where I really feel like that person is speaking to me through their instrument from their soul, and so yeah, so over the last 20 years, it kind of seems like, that's still what's very important to me. And that's kind of, I think I share that with a lot of like my friends and peers, is that's kind of our guiding compass in a way that steers us in any number of directions of like, what, this is feeling inspired, it's feeling authentic, it's feeling authentically me. And I kind of gravitate towards those things. So yeah, but that's, it's a lifelong exercise. I'm 20 years into it, but I don't see that ending anytime soon.
I certainly hope not. Um, Infectious Grooves, what a classic band we're talking about here. There hasn't been an album since 2000, and then there's only been the 4 studio albums in that time. So when you do a set list with Infectious Grooves, is it basically centered around the 4 albums?
A bit, yeah. It's trying to for myself kind of coming up to speed with, with the band's history. Obviously, I've been a fan, but now, having been asked to come aboard and be a part of this resurgence of Infectious is like an incredible honor. And it's about, yeah, kind of dabbling in a little bit of everything and trying to take people on a journey of what they love about Infectious. Integrating some new things that are feeling inspired and in the moment, like I think that was a great call by the guys as we've had a few practices now, getting songs from the back catalog down, but also sensing that there's like a feeling of excitement and urgency in this jam room that they were like, well, let's make something new, let's do something new, and let's hit the studio. So we've done that and come up with some new infectious material. So we're trying to celebrate that past with also some new energy and new sounds, new direction, and that's an incredibly powerful and amazing opportunity as far as where I'm sitting. Just being in a room with my musical heroes and just being a part of all of it is pretty awesome. But yeah, it'll take from all eras of Infectious, including this one, which is awesome.
So if there's new music, will that new music also be recorded?
Yes, yes, we have recorded new Infectious material.
Wow, for the first time in 24 years.
Yeah, I'm so honored to be a part of that, and the fact that it's come about in a very instinctual way very quickly, but not cutting any corners, just doing it the way that I think is like my favorite way of making music. Sometimes most often you're kind of like bashing your head up against a wall for months or years, crafting a song or a group of songs. But every now and then you get lightning in a bottle with the excitement that's in the room, and you just go in and make some stuff. And I think that yields some of the best results. So I'm really stoked that we seem to have done that, and we'll be bringing that with us.
I hope it has one of those titles, one of those humorous, memorable titles like Masperaccio. That,
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
that was more drunk or drunker, wasn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and it all started with the plague that makes your booty move. It's the infectious grooves. That album in itself, that we're going back 34 something years just with
Yeah,
that one. So that album is older than you.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it's a wild I don't so much see it as like a challenge because like the music is timeless, and that's a great thing is it doesn't have to be that I was there from the beginning to get integrated into it now and bring I suppose what I'm being asked to bring to the table of just delivering authenticity and what I love to do and play drums on this stuff. But yeah, so it's wild to revisit some material that came out before I was born, and try to uh I don't know, do it in a way that has sincerity. Because this music speaks to what I love. It's guys I've looked up to for a long, long time. Um and uh and yeah, so I think that the music is alive now, just as it always has been.
The plague that makes your booty move. It's the infectious grooves. Uh,
Yeah.
do you go back and learn that album note for note?
Yeah, I mean, in some respects, yeah. Like, I reference, of course, I'm referencing the records, and having been a fan for a long time, some of that stuff is kind of ingrained through osmosis, between that and Suicidal, equally in certain ways. And then also, referencing live performances, and then, obviously, the most homework you do is when you're in the jam room together, and when Mike approached me about doing this, like I was still on crutches, having just undergone hip surgery that I needed to do. But he asked me if I would be available and recovered enough to do this, and I was like, absolutely. Like, I'm not gonna no is not an answer that I can give you. I'm telling you I'm going to be able to do it. And so to get into a room and for him to kind of give me the direction of just like, we just want you to bring your thing to Infectious, whatever that means, like that's what we want you to bring. And and so luckily that's what I know how to do, is I know how to just kind of be myself when I walk into a room like that. So yeah, it's about having a nuanced understanding of where the songs come from and where the band comes from, and then just trying to inject as much authenticity and sincerity as I can, because I think that's just the best way the music comes across, is when you're just lost in the songs and you can, deliver them from the heart.
Yeah, well, the band often comes down to the drum and bass part. In this particular band,
Yeah.
that bass is Robert Trujillo. So that must be like absolutely incredible. You and he playing off every single night.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. I mean, as far as being, two parts of a rhythm, the rhythm section, that's just like, playing with Robert the first time we got into a room together and jammed, it felt like what it must feel like to like floor a Ferrari or something. Like I've never truly never seen anything like it. So yeah, it's a really incredible opportunity to play with one of my musical heroes. I've followed along with Robert all through, Suicidal and Infectious, his work with Ozzy, of course, his work with Metallica. Somebody that I've looked up to for a long, long time. So to be sitting, behind a drum set and him turning up his bass and just like locking in together. I mean, he just makes everybody around him sound amazing. And that's a truly like unique talent, and I'm just like honored to be able to play with him for sure.
How much time do you have with Infectious Grooves until it crosses over with Suicidal Tendencies and you have to move on to that?
It'll be actually kind of reversed in a way. So, my first show with Suicidal will be a week from tomorrow. Or I guess actually with the time difference, it'll be in a week from today, in Osaka. We have two shows in Japan, coming up next week, and then I'll be going right from that to Los Angeles, where we'll be preparing for our first two Infectious Grooves shows in Orange County, getting ready to then come down to Australia. So it'll be, I'm kind of I've had my homework cut out for me for sure. And it all kind of happened very quickly and a little bit unexpectedly. But I've been really enjoying this whole process of just like getting up to speed with both bands, knowing that they share members, but they're different in their subtleties and their nuances of things. And I'm really grateful that that Mike and the guys have seen something I suppose in my playing that will speak to both bands, and that they're interested in having me on board. I'm absolutely honored and just want to give it everything I got. So it all kind of meshes into one big thing for me, and we'll see. Everybody's got such busy schedules that we'll just kind of see what happens from here. If it's just this Australian tour and our two shows in Orange County, that's great. Like I'm really looking forward to enjoying that. If it keeps going beyond that, I would love to continue it if the guys would have me. We'll just see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just like one giant musical adventure that's divided between two bands that I'm enjoying right now. So it's an incredible opportunity. I'm just stoked to have it.
Well, with the Infectious and by Suicidal Tendencies, there's a crossover with Robert in both of those bands as well.
Yep. Yeah, and Tye as well. Robert's son Tye plays in Suicidal, so it's a multi-generational, wild extravaganza celebration of this music that's been around for multiple decades, and that has stood the test of time. And it's just I'm so excited to get started, because yeah, playing with all these guys where they're still integrated into the music this far into the band's existences. That's like really, really cool to just be a small part of it, and I'm incredibly grateful for that.
It's incredible the list of names that have been associated with this band, including Robert, Dave Lombardo, Josh Freeze. In fact, like if you took the band members that have been with Suicidal Tendencies over the years, you pretty much have a punk wall of fame, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Dave and Josh, absolutely. Brooks Wackerman, Eric Moore. I mean, it'd be a shame to leave anybody out who I've, really looked up to my entire from being a teenager, just getting into punk rock and heavy metal and hardcore and stuff. Like, I mean, so much of that is just woven into the fabric, into my DNA of being somebody who's excited by this music and takes it really seriously and has, I've dedicated 20 years of my life to learning as much as possible and being involved in it and making it myself, and Brooks is a phenomenal example of somebody whose playing I took to at an early age. I never got to see him play with Suicidal, but of course, seeing him play with Bad Religion and the Vandals and all of his projects that he's done, Avenged Now for sure. So yeah, it's just like it's an amazing community. Like I'm very aware of the communal aspect of not just Suicidal but like everything that this culture kind of represents. It does there is a greater community that's all a part of this I just feel very privileged and honored to be a part of it, so but yeah, so looking at all like my drumming heroes having spent time in Suicidal, the fact that I'm here now is literally a head scratcher kind of, but I'm just honored for the opportunity, and we'll see what happens.
And Suicidal Tendencies have a 44-year history dating back to 1980. Bands like Green Day, Offspring, Pennywise, Incubus, Papa Roach, the list goes on, cite them as an influence. They've actually influenced an entire generation of up and coming bands, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I would I'd put myself in line with all of them, like it's been yeah, like we're talking about, like it's a multi-generational influence that this band has had, and it's never stopped really. It's just always been prevalent, always been relevant. Um the messages are just as poignant now, if not more poignant than they ever have been, I feel. And it takes I've always, really been drawn to the lyrical content, um, coming from a personal place, but that, you can apply to everybody can apply it to their life. I think there's a lot of power in that, and that power is matched by the intensity of the music. And what I find so interesting, and we're talking about all these different drummers and the different guys who have been in Suicidal, how malleable and organic the music is because there's so many different styles that are integrated and woven deeply into the fabric of this band, where it feels like you can have any take any number of these songs, and they've been stretched, they've been put through the ringer, and they stand the test of time. They've evolved and changed and stuff, but they still remain, the integrity remains. That's a challenging thing to do. And I think that just is a testament to the quality of the songs, of the musicians, of the people, of the community, all of it. And so to now be welcomed on board, none of that is lost on me, and I'm really eager and excited to contribute in whatever way I can.
Suicidal Tendencies, even though they're a band that dates back to 1980, are still very active in the recording studio. There's been 5 studio albums in the 21st century alone. There hasn't been an album since 2018. We're getting you on new Infectious Grooves. Will we get you on new Suicidal Tendencies as well?
I would love that. I mean, that's certainly. I mean, I would be honored to do that. As of now, I mean, it's all happening so quickly. Like we're still like figuring out, visas to travel places and whatnot. So we'll see what's on the table right now. I'm concentrated on these first shows going well, and just getting integrated into playing with my new bandmates and all that. But certainly, It's been my experience that, when you naturally just kind of follow these wormholes, you just, you ride the good energy that's in the room. You find those, those inspirations and those inspired moments that you're trying to create with a group, and you just follow that and see what good stuff you can make out of that. So if that's on the table, I'm certainly I'm ready to go. I'm into it.
Mm. You were quite the tabloid name a few weeks ago when you left a previous band, Slipknot. There was news everywhere about that all around the world. Were you surprised at how newsworthy you were?
I kind of honestly just I don't really pay attention to stuff like that. Whatever chatter there is, around the world is kind of not really any of my concern. I just kind of do what I do. If people want to talk about it, then that's fine by me. I'm just honored and excited that it's led me to this point and getting started with Suicidal.
When you were a teenager and drumming for the E Street Band, filling in for your dad, even at that point, did you sort of look around and was that a pinch me moment?
For sure. I mean, that was my first formative touring experience. Being 17 years old and being tasked with that. And that also came together in a very organic way where it just kind of so happened that my dad had a scheduling conflict with his responsibilities within the E Street Band, a band that he's been in since the mid 70s. And the Late Night with Conan O'Brien TV show, which was becoming the Tonight Show. He had to be in two places at once, so it was largely a brainchild of Bruce, Steve Van Zant, my father, John Landau, everybody kind of coming together, seeing how they could, cross this scheduling conflict. And then my name kind of came up as like, well, what if Jay did it? And so I was honored for the opportunity. I had only been playing drums for 3 years at that point. So it was a bit of a vertical learning curve. Then again, these are people that I've known at that time, and still obviously I've known them my entire life. So um, you know, I knew my way around that entire, kind of minefield of everything. And yeah, it certainly kind of kicked me into the deep end of rock and roll, but that's what I enjoy about it.
What was it like growing up as an E Street kid?
I mean, it's all I know, right? It's my childhood. Like I don't know any different. I don't know if it's I suppose I mean I have some kind of awareness that it's was and is a very unique opportunity and upbringing and all that sort of stuff. Being around musicians who have dedicated their life to this and seeing it as big as it is. So I have an awareness, and I think even back then I had some awareness of like this was different. I don't share this with my classmates really, and had to just kind of try to understand it the best I could. But then again, it's like, well, it's all I knew, so it was just that became kind of normal, like living in a musical, household. It was just kind of that is what seemed normal. And these were the people that I was kind of raised around. So I found a level of comfort within it. And I think, I haven't really given it all that much thought, but like, I think that allowed me to kind of become integrated into touring, machines and stuff in a natural way, just because it's like that's kind of like the environment I was raised in, so I just kind of feel comfortable within it.
Mm. You are not just a drummer, you also play bass, you play guitar. How accomplished are you in other instruments?
I don't know. I mean, I just kind of do my thing, I don't really look at approaching any instrument as like I have to reach any sort of benchmark of accomplishment. I think the accomplishment is just, undertaking it and doing it, I think what I've learned from my heroes, the Ian Mackays of the world, is like, you are successful when you pick up the instrument. That's it, that's success in music. However far you choose to push it, that's up to you. But so for me, I don't really measure things in terms of looking to accomplish anything. I just want to do what I want to do and express myself musically and artistically, and so I spend time with different instruments. But I think that's common kind of across really any kind of artistic practice.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to seeing you down here with Infectious Grooves very, very soon, April. And then my God, if you're going to be in Japan for Suicidal Tendencies back again, you're going to be a very busy man in the air, Jay.
I am.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Look forward to seeing you here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming down.